Okay, man.
Here we are. Here I am.
Well, friends, welcome back to the GORUCK Show. My name is Blayne, and we have a special guest host today because Jason is out of the office. This is our friend, Mr. Christopher Bomber Goad.
That's me.
Or Bomber Bash. How would
Bomber
you say
Bash?
that? Is it?
Usually just Bomber. Bomber Bash was, the car show, so.
Bomber.
Bomber.
Bomber is here. And you guys
Bomber.
see Bomber, or at least hear from Bomber, most weeks. Anyway, he kind of comes at the end of the show. And the reason that I wanted for Bomber to co-host this week, other than the fact that he's exceedingly handsome and humorous and all sorts of other positive traits, is that Bomber here at GORUCK, his actual job, if you guys aren't able to figure it out, and I can see where that might be tough.
Oh, yeah.
His actual job, I believe his business card says community manager. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Do you have any business cards?
I do.
Okay.
They're pretty cool.
And so we say a lot around here, and nobody says it more often than Bomber, that the community or the people, I guess it's kind of interchangeable,
Yes.
is the best part of GORUCK. Always has been, always will be. And since he's our community manager, I thought today we would talk about the community.
Yes.
That
Which
work for you?
yeah, that's one of my favorite things to talk about at GORUCK.
So,
It's the people.
So I think if anyone is at all familiar with the GORUCK community or with GORUCK as a brand or a company, they probably know you as the guy that works here at the PX, greets people when they come to town,
Yes.
sets up their selfie with Monster,
Oh, yeah.
offers them a beer no matter what time of day it is.
That's right.
And then if they're really fortunate, you'll offer them a shirtless hug.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's special.
Is that all you do, or I'll give you an opportunity to dispel the myth that is all you do here at GORUCK? And
That's-
you give the people a little more. Tell them what you actually do on a day-to-day basis here at GORUCK.
A lot of folks think that I just sit around, drink beer all day, which I can't do that. I wouldn't get a lot done if I did that. So do have coffee. And there was at one point where Jason had instructed me to, it's beer after 1500 coffee before.
Yeah, that's sort of the Green Beret
Yeah,
rule.
that's the Green Beret rule.
Yeah,
That's what he told me.
Transition from coffee to beer, but after 1500.
Yes. So I work on an awesome team, the business development team, with which you kind of supervise us, and Kit manages. Lee and Kit and I work with all the Ruck Clubs, our affiliate program, just to build the business and make the Ruck Clubs better and bigger.
Yeah, okay, so I'll modify that a little bit. You definitely do that, but you guys do a lot more than that. So the three of you guys, Kit and you and Lee, and we'll see Lee if he's lucky a little later on in the show.
I hope so.
He's playing the role of Bomber today.
He is.
On the show. He's our
doing a great job.
Executive producer behind the computer. And no, but what you guys do on a day-to-day basis, in my estimation, is you maintain contact and try to add value to the various communities of people that are out there rucking. And so whether that's a CrossFit gym that's formed a Ruck Club, or some of our bigger and more established Ruck Clubs like Brian Singland and his boys up in Cleveland, or the folks out in NorCal or Houston or wherever, you're making sure they kind of have what they need to be successful out in their community. And and to break that out a little bit, I guess you really have focused mostly on the Ruck Clubs over the last
Most definitely
year and a half, 2 years since you've been here. Lee is our account manager and works more on if you need a custom event done, a bulk order, things like that. Also working with the Ruck Clubs, and then Kit sort of oversees our partnerships and sponsorships and some of that stuff. So the marching orders that you guys have from me, because as the president of the company, I also assign myself the role as director of business development, which means that I get to work directly with you guys. And my sort of guidance is if there's rucking happening anywhere in the country, then we need to be supporting it as GORUCK.
For sure.
And your job is to ferret out where it's happening, identify it, and then reach out to those folks and find out how can we support you as GORUCK. And that's, what else really is there besides that?
When people do, like, I'll get an email in saying someone wants to start a Ruck Club, and what I'll do is schedule a phone call with them. And we have a little PDF that we had put together, our kid had put together, that kind of gives the basics of how to start a ruck, what to do, how to make it fun and enjoyable. And then right now we're working on the playbook that we'll have for the Ruck Clubs. So I'll usually talk to them like 20, 30 minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes a little less, and give them ideas of what to do to start a Ruck Club, to set up an Instagram account, a Facebook account, how to hashtag.
How to hashtag.
All the, yes. hashtag
You guys need to know that.
GORUCK,
Follow your
hashtag
guys'
Ruck Club. Yeah. So get them where they're pinged on social media where they know how to tag everything. Then I tell them like, hey, friend other Ruck Clubs. I'll send links to them of other Ruck Clubs that do really well to give them ideas. But like today I had a Datoma, like Stephen Datoma, a GRT. He likes to
Boston area,
yes.
formerly of NorCal.
Yes. He actually likes to FaceTime when we talk because he likes to see my face. So he actually,
you blame the guy?
I know, and he spoke with Nick a little bit this morning, so.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Because so you're sort of the most staunch advocate of the GORUCK community being the best part of GORUCK. I don't think it takes anyone a lot of convincing, but that's the drum that you'll beat every day, and I appreciate that about you. So what got you to the point where you actually believe that to be true? Like, maybe let's go back all the way to the beginning. How did you find GORUCK? How were you introduced to GORUCK, and why the hell are you even a part of this in the first place?
I was had signed up for some Tough Mudders, and that's when GORUCK still kind of had, I guess, a partnership with them and had a video on there.
Way back.
Way back, and that was in 2011. And saw the little video for the GORUCK event. I was like, hey, this looks cool. And kind of reminded me of like humping stuff in the Marine Corps.
Oh, you
I
were
saw
in the
with
Marine
the packs,
Corps?
yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes. So, you know, you got to tell that you're a Marine.
Yeah.
There we go. Oop, wrong way. Yeah. So, went ahead and signed up for one, but I waited for a couple of months, and it actually happened in 2012 when I first did my event. And there was very limited information. There was like a couple of YouTube videos, and that was it. But it was very secretive of what the event was for. So the only training I did was just running around with my GR1 with bricks in it. That was it.
So you got a GR1?
Yes, right off the bat.
Okay, what made you decide to buy a $300 backpack?
Well, it took a little bit, but after researching, I read a couple of blog posts, and again, there wasn't a lot of information. The website wasn't near like it is today. And I just, after researching and looking at it and reading people's testimonials about it, I decided, well, hey, I'll do it with that ruck.
Okay, so the blogosphere and the social media, I guess, whatever, convinced you that the GR1 was the best rucksack. So you get that, you start throwing bricks in it, and you're getting ready for the GORUCK Challenge as part of a Tough Mudder, or like leading up to a Tough Mudder, or totally
No,
separate?
did the Tough Mudder separately. Done 3 or 4 of those, and then after I did GORUCK, I did like one more Tough Mudder with some GRTs, and that was it.
And that was that, huh?
Yeah, straight in the GORUCK.
Okay, so you were class what then? What was your first event that you did?
294 in New Orleans.
294. So I think that's going back quite a ways. So I think Big Daddy was 120.
Yes.
Maybe. God, who else? We were just talking to someone else today. There was 132.
Mike. Yeah, Hinchy. Yeah.
So our famous GORUCK model for all of our apparel and rucksacks. Yesterday was his last day. We had a big farewell to Mike Inchko. We love you, man. Good luck to you in Spain. He and his wife's a pilot in the Navy. Yeah.
Yes.
And they're moving to
an aviator,
Spain.
if you will. An aviator.
Aviator, yeah. And they're moving to Spain, so we're bummed about missing Mike Inchko. We had a little bit of a farewell for him at lunch yesterday, but also a little bit of a less official but rowdier farewell for him last night here in Jack's Beach, right? I ducked out of that one pretty early. Pays to have a baby sometimes, you know what I mean? Because I feel pretty spry today. I just got back from the gym. I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
Some other people in the office not so well today.
Yes, some of us not as well as others. Nick.
Not naming names. Okay. So you did your first, and you did it as a Tough or the Challenge back then?
Yes.
Right. And what'd you think?
I thought at first, and I actually spoke about this before. I was like, this is just stupid. I'll never do this again. And then
in the immediate aftermath?
Yeah, within the week I'd sign up for another one. So did another one. Signed up for a scavenger, and then I signed up for Trek that we actually did here in Jack's Beach in 2013. That never happened. Signed up for it, not saying that I actually did it. I'm just saying I signed up for it. So, and then after that, did some other Toughs, scavengers, firearm days, a good mix of events.
Yeah. So what made you, so let me ask you this then. Maybe you don't know, but I'd love to hear at least your theory on why you went from immediately after the event when you're banged up, from the challenge, and you're like, this is, because people do this all the time with things like marathons.
For sure.
Right? I did the same thing. I ran a marathon. I was like, yeah, that was great. I checked it off my list. I'm never, ever doing that again until the next one that I signed up for, right? So what made you decide? What made you transition from that's it, I did one, I'm not doing it again, to now you work here, you've done a bunch of events and everything else.
After I wasn't so sore the next week, I started reflecting back on it, and I thought about, like, it was fun. I enjoy, and the bond that was created with the people that I did it with. A lot of folks from New Orleans, that their first class was class 78, so they were old flame patch folks, had been around for a while, and a lot of them still regularly do events down there. But it was thinking about how it reminded me, that bond that I had with them, of how it was in the Marine Corps. And I enjoyed that. And through GORUCK, I've met so many people that are just really good. They're great friends. A lot of the, from B. Yang is an example. I met him at my first scavenger, and then one of my buddies from Shreveport Chase did his first event with B. And, you know, everyone, B is like, you know, everyone knows him.
Yeah. So, when you were in the Marine Corps some time ago.
Yes.
And this I think, I'm not saying you're old, just saying it was a while ago that you were in the Marine Corps.
I'm on up there.
So, a lot of people are this way, and I'm curious if you were the same way. When you left the Marine, between the time when you left the Marine Corps and when you started doing GORUCK events, how close were you to your kind of your military heritage and other people from the military and veterans and things along those lines? Had you sort of moved on and that was just something you did in the past, or was it a really important active part of your life from the time you left the military?
I did not. I would, every once in a while, I would go to the Marine Corps birthday ball once a year and all, but I just didn't have a lot of military friends. Most of my friends had not served. So it kind of, it brought that back to me of how it felt being in the Marines.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I've talked to roughly 1 billion people that have said the same thing, whether it was at Team RWB or here.
For sure.
And I was that way. As an example. So I got out of the Army, and within a week, you never would have known that I had been in the Army, unless like he carries himself like maybe he was in the Army or whatever, right? But like, I didn't have a military haircut anymore. I didn't use. I actually tried kind of hard not to use like military language and acronyms and things. I was moving on to the civilian sector, and you know, I just didn't talk about it. I sort of stayed in contact with some of the guys that I served with because we were pretty tight, but a lot of them had sort of moved on and were going back and deploying and back in, you know, the rhythm of their life. And I wasn't really much involved, and I didn't feel much connection at all. And I felt like I didn't want to, which wasn't really true. It just sort of was the reaction. And until I got back involved in other types of organizations, and I was like, oh, I kind of miss the camaraderie of being in the military.
Oh, for sure.
I miss being around good people, and I've gotten a lot of value out of being back a part of communities like GORUCK.
I do, and it's funny. I think part of the problem too back then is there wasn't, well, tells them age. There were no cell phones. There wasn't social media. There were all these things where keeping contact was a little bit harder. Like back then, I'm still like to write letters. I send letters to my family. I like handwritten letters. I think that's very cool. And I've saved all the ones that I had that like my mom and them wrote me when I was gone, and my dad. And I think that contact with people, because more of the folks that I was in the Marine Corps with now, I know them from social media, as finding each other and keeping in contact. And there was a void. When I got out, I don't know if y'all know, I grew my hair I was in for 6 years, and then I grew my hair for 6 years. And it was long.
Like on purpose, 6 years, or just happened to be?
I was just like, I'm not cutting my hair for 6 years after cutting your hair every 2 weeks. So I donated it to Locks of Love when I was done, and since then I've kept my hair pretty short. But I quit doing PT. Just didn't. I was pretty like not anti-military, but wanting to have such.
Like regimentation.
Yes. Yes. I'm like, I want to try to sleep in. I want to do this. I want to do that. So not cutting my hair was kind of me being, you know, hey,
yeah, a lot of people
I don't want to
too.
cut it.
My buddy Eric Engelhart, man, he got out. I mean, he had the best. I mean, his hair was down to here. It was long. It was awesome, honestly. But I was never able to do that because I had this job where I had to wear a tie and stuff when I first
For
got
sure.
out. So it was like, there were still some grooming standards.
Yes.
But I'm sure there are a lot of people in the middle, but it seems like a lot of people that I know have gone to one end or the other, like, and maybe it depends on how long you were in or whatever, but some people get out and they just stay. It's like they stayed in. You know, like you see like the retired colonel with like the golf shirt tucked
Oh,
into
yes,
the khakis
yes.
and the belt with the gig line and like still with the short haircut.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to the day they die, always the same style haircut. I was actually at Safe Harbor the other day having lunch with Jenny and Penny, and we were waiting in. You have to wait in line to order your food there or whatever. And the line was kind of out the door, and so it was sort of blocking the door. And there was this guy. He must have been 75 probably, and his wife. And he had this super short, like buzzed haircut, and like, you know, exactly the guy I was just describing. And he's trying to get out the door, and it's kind of, you know, there's families, people milling about, and the guy goes, "Make a hole." This guy, he couldn't have been in the military in the last 20 years.
Yes.
At least, you know, but he was still like colonel or admiral, whoever, so and so.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, these darn kids are in the way of the door, and make a hole. And I was like, yeah. So some people like go that way, and they just basically stay the same persona and everything as when they were in.
Yes.
And then there are other people that go completely the opposite. And they're like, I'm not cutting my hair. I'm, you know, not ironing my pants or any of that crap. I'm done with it, period. And like I said, I'm sure there are some people in the middle, but it seems like there are a lot of examples that are kind of at the ends.
And it hasn't. And working with GORUCK and doing the events, it's brought back, like, I probably hadn't said pogue in 15 or 20 years, and now I throw it around all the time.
You like to call other people pogues?
Yes. I called Nick a pogue when I first started working here, and he asked Jason what it meant.
Can someone that wasn't in the military be a pogue?
I
That
said he was the
misinterpretation?
pogue of HQ.
So at least you related it back.
Yes,
to
yes,
something,
yes.
the pogue of HQ.
Yeah.
You know that Nick's done a triple heavy, right?
Oh, I know. That was
I
was
can bring
just
that
a
up
little
as
bit.
often as I can.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
Did you know? I didn't know if you knew this, Blayne, but that event is actually time-wise longer than selection, and less people have finished it. Am I correct, Nick?
Nick does not want to be on the record as saying this. You know, Nick, we could just put this whole thing to bed once and for all if you just sign up for selection.
Oh, yeah.
That would
Well,
be that.
I got told last time I wasn't allowed to do it, so,
Fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, BD pulled the plug on that.
yeah.
All right, I was here for that.
You are working this event.
All right, fine. So, Bomber, let's go back to the community piece,
Yes.
or at least to your involvement in the community. So you did the event in New Orleans, signed up for a scav, did an event that didn't happen,
Correct.
some other things. And so at what point did you feel like these are sort of my people? Because you had a pretty interesting professional career. Like you worked in some retail, you were a barber, you worked
Yes.
in the oil field, or you
Yes.
said oil field. Lots of cool and various stuff. At what point did you feel like this sort of GORUCK thing, like these are my people?
It was just like hanging around folks, doing the event with them, and you know, when you're suffering and doing some hard PT, you
Shared hard.
yeah, you do that, and then even like before and after, like before you're hanging out, everyone's a little nervous about how the event's gonna go. Afterwards, you have a couple of beers and you buy. It just, I really enjoyed hanging out with the people and then watching how folks that were civilians that had never done anything like that come in and do something, and seeing like their sense of accomplishment after finishing an event was really cool to me. And then just watching them put out, like someone who's, you know, only ran 5Ks, and not knocking 5Ks because they do suck, you know, but
If you do anything fast enough,
that's, yeah, it'll suck. But seeing them come in and do something like that where it's stuff that they've never done. Like, you know, there's not a lot of events where you're gonna duck walk half of a soccer field with a backpack on with bricks.
Or a rucksack.
Or a rucksack, yes. So, you know, and that's another thing hard with it, that learning the Army terminology up here has been a challenge, because we always said humping is rucking in the Marine Corps, and then calling them backpacks and camis and stuff like that. And now, you know, I'm saying like ACUs and stuff like that. I'm like, where did I get this from?
Jason McCarthy.
Jason McCarthy.
That's where you got it
Yes.
from.
Yes.
Words mean things around here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, how in the hell? So you started working here officially before I was here, and your first week on the job, I think, was the same week that we did the Team RWB leadership camp.
Yes,
Here at GORUCK.
it
We
was.
decided we had this kind of half-cocked idea to do a joint GORUCK Team RWB leadership camp for the kind of national volunteer leaders at Team RWB, and we did it right here.
Yes.
And we had a light as part of it that BD ran. I think
Oh, yeah.
Garrett and BD ran it, I think, or something like that.
Had a luau that night.
Had a luau with, yeah, that's right. We had a pig and
Yeah.
a bluegrass band.
It was
courtesy of
great.
Garrett Cathcart. Thank you, Garrett. That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So how did you manage to finagle yourself a job here at GORUCK HQ?
Well, I was working in the oil field.
The old field.
The oil field back home. And man, anyone that works in the oil field, you know, there's buyouts, there's layoffs, it's a constant, it's either famine or feast. It's a great job when you're working, and I had just grew tired of it. And I was talking to Blockus, a former employee up here or whatever, and I'm like, he was, you know, we had chatted, I did a custom event at the Bomber Bash, the car show, where we had Cadre Lyles come over. And I emailed Jason's like, hey man, I want to come work for GORUCK.
So you just proactively reached out. You
Just
didn't-
reached
you
out.
didn't see like a job opening
And
on
then
the
I-
website, and you're like, oh, that's
Yeah,
perfect for me.
I know, I didn't even look to see if they were hiring or anything, and he,
That's a tip for you folks at home right there. Like,
well, he,
cold emailing your resume to some random
Yes.
online job opening is not the best way sometimes.
well, he,
You could just email the CEO and ask for a
oh
job.
yeah, it took about 2 weeks for him to answer. So I was like, well, I guess that's a hard no. So a couple of weeks later, he emailed back and he said, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, you tell me. I don't know. What have y'all got going on up there? So another week or so later, Emily messaged me and they had me come out here and stay about 4 days and do an interview, which I screwed up the interview. It was there in the champagne room. It was horrible.
Why did you screw it up? What?
Well, I got nervous. And usually I don't get nervous.
nervous
I can
now?
talk to anyone. Not right now, I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
I'm feeling much better than Nick. I know that.
Everyone's feeling
Yeah.
better than Nick. The bar's
I,
pretty
know.
low.
I think Leah and I are doing a little bit better about the same today. We're doing pretty decent.
Still a little beat up, but you know, let's know you lived.
Oh yeah. Well, I get in there. There's a table in the champagne room, which was the conference room.
Yeah. I remember.
Now it's a little bit storage, but I have Jason, Emily, and Andy, and they're asking me all these questions. He's asking about like,
Tough crowd.
oh yeah, and I can't even remember what the questions were. And I got up and went and grabbed a couple of beers, come back in. I'm like, I'm gonna have to have a beer to do this. So Emily brought up, it was the first interview she had with someone popping open a beer, and actually kind of slammed mine. And then Emily had to leave, and then I asked Jason if he would leave where I could talk to Andy. Because I said, I'd rather talk to him with, you're making me nervous, man. Because he was asking all these questions and he was using acronyms that I didn't even know what they were. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And it was crazy. I had these field notes and I had all of these notes that I had wrote down, and just none of them made sense to me. Not a one. So
The
I just
ones that you
pushed
wrote
my,
down
that
didn't
I
make
wrote
sense to
down.
you?
I'm like, what is this even in ref? I'm like flipping through the book. I kind of wish that they had did that on live feed. That would have been a good Wednesday post.
Yeah, I don't think that's like an HR thing you can do.
Oh, I
That would
know.
be hilarious,
I
wouldn't
know.
it?
So
Just live stream interviews at GORUCK HQ.
yes. So that was in June of 2016, and I didn't hear anything from GORUCK for like 2 months. And I'm like, well, it was fun to come down and do that. And then Emily reached out to me, and here I
Just
am.
slow rolled you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a negotiation tactic, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That way you're just
That's
you're
I
eager to
was
sign
like,
up for whatever
hey,
you do it.
let's go.
So you're the community manager now. I know for sure that's your job because I looked
Yes.
it up.
It's on my business card.
It's on your business card.
I'll have to give you one.
Was that always your job title? Is that what you came in as? The community
Yes,
manager?
as
That was
community
your job?
manager.
And
Yes.
so what was it that you were asked to do come in, or what did you think that you were going to be doing, or what did you think your job was when you showed up, other than shirtless hugs and answering people's Facebook threads?
I honestly thought that was about it. I did not know. I had to actually like Google what community manager was. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And at first it came up as a community manager of like HOA. And I was like, well, that's not what this job is.
That's clearly not how we do
Yes.
things around here.
Yeah, so I come in, they had me work with Lee. He was doing the customer service and did a little bit of everything, like helped answer the info at GORUCK.com calls, did various other tasks. Then I started, Kit was kind of running the Ruck Clubs, and I started interacting with them. They had me write a blog post and ask folks out there, because I know they joke, because I put my, I'll throw my email out there all the time. I'm like, hey, if you need something, give me a holler. Might not can help you, but can either pass it to someone else that might.
Yeah.
But I was like, contact me if you want to start a Ruck Club or if you
So
have
you wanted
questions.
I know, I get it. You wanted to look busy,
Yes.
and you wanted to be able to sort of justify your job. I can
Yes.
appreciate that. And so you were like, I'll just stir the pot,
Oh, yeah.
and then instigate a bunch of inbound email,
Yes.
and that way I can be busy all day,
That's right.
chattering back and forth with the good folks in the GORUCK community.
Yes. And there's other
I
know
see right through you.
there are
Bummer.
folks
I
that
just-
are surprised. They'll come in some days and I'm on a spreadsheet and they're like, oh, whose desk are you at? I'm like, well, this is my actual desk here.
You know how to use high-rise?
I know.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of that stuff. I'm thankful for Lee and Nick, where I was like, how do I do this? What is this? What the heck is that? So that
I
part of it was
remember
fun.
When you were doing that, there was one day where another employee asked you how to do something on the computer, and he just looks at her. He kind of looks at the screen. He's like, "Yeah, we can figure this out." Just you could tell, I had no idea what was going on.
I love that
It was
attitude, though,
awesome.
right? Like, just pretend like you know what you're talking about, and
Oh,
then when
yeah.
they go away, just frantically try to scramble and see if you can figure out how to do it.
Yes.
That's actually a pretty useful skill
It is.
if you're willing to do it.
Yeah.
So, what has been? You were a pretty active member of the GORUCK community before you worked here,
Yes.
right? So, and I remember because we did the first ever Team RWB podcast. Jason was a guest.
Mm-hmm.
I was the host. Jason was the guest. We did it in the Champagne Room, and I think that same day we did a Facebook Live on the GORUCK page. And I think we did one on the RWB page as well. And people were asking questions. And I remember you wrote in because he was like, Christopher Goad, your name is Bomber Bash.
Yes.
I remember him saying
It was
that.
right after Facebook made folks use their real name.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that was April, I think, April of 16.
Yes.
So it's still before you worked here. But anyway, so you were a pretty active, engaged member of the community, and you were sort of, your job was somewhat to stir the pot on that end of things. And now you're on this end of things. You work at, the big corporate headquarters here at
Oh, yeah.
GORUCK. So how's your perspective changed? What's it been like to be sort of on this side of the table, working with all the people that are out in the community, vice sort of just being someone who's active and in the community?
I've learned I do have to be a little bit more careful what I say sometimes. Before I'd say just whatever and have a great time, but
If it wasn't good enough.
exactly,
someone just block it on
yeah.
the page or
So
whatever.
now, yeah, and the community's awesome. They'll call whoever out, that. And I used to make a lot more. I'd make little videos and post on there. Like for the reunion, Jason said, hey, where are we going to have the GRT reunion? And I lobbied for New Orleans, made some
We're
videos.
successful.
Yes, and they even this was before I worked here, they allowed me to make a video where they had Jason talking, and it went to static, and it was as I had taken over the
Like,
video feed.
Like anonymous.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yes, very much like
what's
that.
Guy Fawkes, the dude from V for Vendetta.
Yes, yes.
Someone's gonna do that someday on the Tough page or on like GORUCK.com or something. I can just
Oh,
feel
for
it
sure.
happening.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
But there's other cool, I've enjoyed working with some of the nonprofits. Like I've worked with Beth for the Wreck Your Dog.
Yeah, which
and
is
then
coming up very soon, by the way. I
yes.
think on March 5th, we're gonna launch that officially. Wreck Your Dog's coming back this year.
Stoked about that.
Do that.
And then with the Green Beret Foundation, I kind of worked with them. And then we'll do stuff locally. And we're going to do some more stuff locally. Been involved with, like we did the 10 miler. We did the
Well, just
beer
this week,
rug.
you guys did you guys served dinner
yes,
across the street, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that. So, actually, let me say this. Bomber, when I first got here, I kind of went around and talked to everybody and just kind of said, hey, like, what do you do here? How can I help? That kind of thing. And one of the things that Bomber said to me was, we're all about the community. We're all about building community. And if that's the case, then that has to start here in Jax Beach
Yes.
with us locally. Because if we're not engaged in our local community, if we're not doing that here, then, what's the point of trying to ask other people to do it? And so, just since I've been here, we did the Brew Ruck, where we collected all the canned
Yes.
goods, and with the help of our friends over at Really Good Beer Stop. And then, just this week, you guys volunteered to cross the street and cook dinner for how many people at the?
Around
almost-
50 people.
About 50 people.
Yeah.
And you took so we're doing this every month now.
Mm-hmm.
Here at GORUCK HQ, we're going to volunteer at Hope House. Is that what it is?
Yes.
We're volunteering at Hope House and making dinner for the folks over there. And you guys took the easy one. You took spaghetti right out of the
We
gate, you took
did. We
spaghetti.
wanted to be safe, and that was a safe one to
Now,
do.
none of us
but
can do spaghetti because you guys did spaghetti. And
Exactly.
It's going to be.
it was fun. I had a blast doing it. I have a full commercial kitchen, and I learned a lot about steam on boiling pots.
How hot
So
the steam
it
is
gets
coming up.
pretty hot. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, water is, it's cold,
Mm-hmm.
and then it starts to get hot, and it boils, and then after it gets to a certain level of hot, it turns into steam.
Yes.
So it stands to reason that the steam is actually hotter than the boiling water.
Yeah. It's pretty hot.
You didn't learn
It's
that
pretty
in the oil
warm.
field?
No, I did not. That steam's something else.
So, okay, so we've done a lot with kind of the local community here in Jax, right?
Yes.
And then, we'll run up to Savannah in 2 weeks? And we're gonna support the 9 Line, actually the opening of the Black Rifle Coffee up there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty
They're
cool.
opening the store. Yeah.
At the at 9 Line shop up in Savannah, but then we'll be there for their 5K, 10K to support wounded veterans.
We went
later in the
last
day.
year.
Yep.
Lee, Nick, and myself, and had a
We were
great
totally
time.
appropriately dressed the entire time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell that story.
We had there was a fundraiser the night
You guys
before. I
Gator
can't Andy Gator.
I didn't go out with you guys last night, so I can probably handle an Andy Gator today.
Well, we're joking. We rode up in Nick's Jeep, and they were joking about the fundraiser, and they were like, "Hey, what's the dress code?" I'm like, "Oh man, it's shirt and tie," and we're all kind of laughing about it. And we got there, and it was actually an event where you would want to wear a shirt with a collar and some slacks,
Maybe a tie
and
even.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we show up in GORUCK shorts and t-shirts and
My
flip flops.
t-shirt had a hole in it.
Yeah, Nick's t-shirt had a hole in it. And it was at this really fancy motel by the pool and
A
just
fancy motel or a fancy
hotel, excuse me, hotel. Sorry. You can tell
You only
we're
have motels in
Hey,
Louisiana.
we stayed at the motel.
Motel.
Yes. We always try to say when we travel, well, I like to say per diem, the per diem you have in the city, we like to stay at the motels that's
Yeah.
really inexpensive. But we get up there and it's just, the food was fancy, everything was fancy, everyone's in, and we were just like, all right, let's get some beer and talk
They
to
invited
these
us back.
folks. Yeah, they
It's
invited us
amazing.
back.
Despite
It was
you
great.
hooligans Last year,
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. And then we, in the 5K and 10K, they have a rucking division, which is awesome. And
9 Line Apparel.
we rucked that. I actually beat Nick and Lee due to me not having
No caveats.
any
huh?
weight. Yeah, I had a couple of an extra T-shirt and some water and stuff, and I
You had the proverbial pillow ruck.
pack light, freeze at night is my motto. Yeah. So I'll tell you, it felt good though, saying that I beat them. They keep bringing up the no weight thing, which is a little weird deal. But it's the Savannah Bananas, is the local baseball team, the minor league baseball team, and it's pretty cool. You finish there and you run around the bases and go across home plate.
How
was
cool
awesome.
is it even as an adult to run the bases at,
It was-
at a ballpark?
It was awesome.
Right?
Yes.
Oh my God. We
And
had to do
it's-
that like at a spring training park when I was a kid one time, and I was like, I had run the bases about a jillion times. I played baseball
Oh, yeah.
since I was 5 years old, but running the bases at a big league or a professional baseball park, it's just like something magical.
It's
about it.
great.
So, let me ask you this: what's been maybe you can't narrow it down, but I'd love to get your top 1 or 2 moments from like the GORUCK community since you've been here, or maybe since ever. I don't care. But like, what's your favorite memory, or what's a memory that is most indicative of sort of the GORUCK community? Because you've done a lot of cool stuff.
Yes.
You went to New York City for the Veterans Day Parade. we had.
We've
the
traveled to a lot of the
reunion.
Ruck Clubs and
Yeah, you've
done
been on the
events with
road.
them
I saw you took some great photos outside of a strip club in Tampa one time.
with kids
know,
there. I know,
I
yeah.
appreciated you, really making my home city look classy.
I know.
Right? You were in the
It was great.
You were in the industrial park on Adamo Drive and all the strip clubs. So, I mean, could you narrow it down, or I'd love, if you don't have to nail it, but I mean, what's one or two of your favorite memories of being out and being engaged with the community?
I want to tell one of my first task when I got here for myself was I wanted to make the all women's event called the Mama Stump event for her.
Milestone, yeah.
And I spoke with BD about that, and he's like, done. And I was like, well, cool, this is awesome.
See
Not
how
everything
you
else
get
works
stuff
like
done?
that, but for my first one, I was like, well, this is cool, and we made that happen. But just, it's not one in general. We went to Detroit, Cleveland. I went with BD up to do the Beached 002 in Traverse City, which was, that place, everything looks like a postcard there. Been to Austin, Dallas, gone to the reunion. I've been fortunate to be able to just, it's interacting with the community. That's my favorite part of it. Whether it's here where they come in. Yesterday we had a couple from Texas that had did the FAD down in Naples and drove up here to come and hang out.
Naples is not close, by the way.
No, it's not.
Naples is like 7 hours from here.
Yeah, so they came
It's
up
in
to,
Florida, but
yeah. I think they were a tiny bit disappointed Monster wasn't here at the time they were here, but had a beer with them and had a great time, and just, it's visiting with the community. That's my favorite thing. Oh, and see, like Ron, he's a local GRT. He made this and brought it by, and also brought some beer,
yeah,
which
if you
is
guys-
our,
If you guys are just listening or you can't see that, that's kind of our GORUCK HQ TGI Florida logo with the state of Florida and the palm trees.
Yes.
And a spearhead up there near Jack's, and it's got like some barbed wire
Some
on
barbed
it.
wire.
It's,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's like a fabricated sheet
that is
metal
cool.
piece.
It just shows that, man, the community does so much. They'll, like, he took the time to make that and bring it by and just like, hey, I appreciate GORUCK. He did the brew ruck with us.
Yeah.
And just the folks that'll come sometimes just, they want to have a picture with Monster. They want to come hang out here. They want to look at scars. They want to drop their ruck off. It's just, that part of it is what I like. And I love when I get to travel and see other GRTs. There's a couple that, they're from Jacksonville here that we saw at the 9 line that stopped by the booth we set up. And they're like, GORUCK, and that's the official thing. When you see someone that's a GRT, quit doing that weird airport stuff. I can't stand
Sniping a
that.
photo of
Go up and say hey.
surreptitiously with your phone.
Yeah, the official
hello.
greeting, just yell GORUCK.
I'll tell you one thing I do like though about the airport stuff, and I've yet to do this. I need to do this. Maybe I will tomorrow or the next day. I'm flying up tomorrow to New Jersey and,
Yes.
and back on Saturday. And but I love when the GRTs are in the airport and they take a picture of the ruck and they say, "I'm at this bar or this restaurant
yeah.
in this airport. If you can come find me, I'll buy you a beer."
Yes.
That's pretty brilliant. I like that. That's one of my favorite things about the community. If I could sum it up in sort of one example,
For
I would
sure.
say my favorite thing about the GORUCK community is that there's like a bona fides, there's like some sort of credibility exchanged with people that you just have never ever met, and
yeah.
you really on the surface have no reason to trust them
That's
at all, right? In this day and age, but you see someone with a ruck on and a vent patch, especially if they've got
yeah.
a top for a light or heavy patch or whatever, and you see that, you immediately just accept that they're an okay person, that they're probably
Definitely.
cool, and then you're like offering them, hey, can I give you a ride home from the airport?
Oh, yeah.
You need anything? You need a place to crash? Can I buy you a beer? Like, it's amazing the rate that it accelerates.
Yes.
From, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I mean a lot of nice people when I'm out on the road or in airports and stuff, but I don't offer any of them a ride home from the airport or to crash on my couch or any of that. But like the GORUCK community just it's amazing how people just go from zero to, hey, we're best friends now, let me buy you a beer. Or, hey, if you're a random stranger, but you see this on Facebook in the Tough group and you want to meet me at the, this bar, the Sam Adams bar in Logan Airport, then I'll buy you a beer.
It's like
We need more of that in this day and age. Like more trust, more acceptance that way.
It's like your GR1, your TAC hat, your patch. It's like a secret handshake people see that. I remember when Lee had went to Canada snowboarding, and he posted, he's like, hey, I've got a filled pocket full of decals. Come find me, I'll give you a GORUCK HQ decal. And I'll do that too. I'll have extra patches, and if I see someone at the airport or someone, yells GORUCK at me, I'm like, hey, here's a patch.
Yeah. I need to grab a few patches before I leave tonight, by the way.
Yes.
It's a great idea.
We'll grab some.
As I go through the airports over the next couple of days. But yeah, I mean, the people are obviously the best part. And it's, we had the Ruck Club battle here recently. That was awesome. And I haven't been to as many events as you have, but I've been to enough to know that, whether it's a light, a tough, a heavy, a scavenger, it doesn't really matter. Once people have had a chance to spend a little time with one another, they come out on the other side of it, and it's just like, they really do feel connected, and there's just a level of support, I guess,
For sure.
that people don't get a lot of that these
No.
days. Like I'll tell you, and I noticed this even here during the Ruck Club battle. I noticed it when we have the RWB Rucks one Wednesday night a month here. There are some people that just they just need someone to talk to. And it's not because they're in a real bad way or they're super depressed or anything like that. Sometimes you commute to work and then you go sit in your cube and you do your thing and whatever, and you probably don't even recognize it in yourself sometimes until you've had a beer and a slice of pizza and you've done a few miles under the ruck, and then
Yeah.
it's some people just need some interaction. They just need someone to talk to, and that's been what I've tried to ask of myself is just to try to be a good listener.
For sure.
And we see it in the tough group even, we talked about one yesterday. Sometimes people it's clear, they're just reaching out and they just want someone to bounce something off of or to, tell them it's going to be okay and some of those things. And, we have a lot of fun at GORUCK.
Yes.
We try real hard to have a lot of fun. It's a priority around here, and I think we do a pretty good job at it. But, the other side of that coin, I guess, is that we also just try to be here, and I try to catch myself sometimes before I try to solve a problem or something, I just try to listen and see if I can maybe just understand where someone's coming from. And sometimes I don't have an answer, but my only response is to say, hey, I hear you.
One
Or
thing.
you've been heard. Even with the staff sometimes.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Sometimes the only move I have is to be you've been heard.
Yes.
I hear you. And it matters a lot. And I tell you what, there's a lot of, this and that and left and right and Republican and Democrat and this and that. And sometimes it feels good just to have someone listen. And that's a big deal around here.
You'll see sometimes on the tough, people just, there'll be a foot post or some kind of wolf post, all these posts that people put on there. And then people just, interact and mess with each other. Sometimes get a little bit hey, chill out. But when something happens, the community is there for people. And I like that a lot. And we're talking, that post you had mentioned, I had looked at people saying, hey, if you need to talk, if you need anything, reach out, I'm here. And you don't get that at a lot of other places. And I can't really think of any other businesses that are as open as GORUCK is and has a community like this where the people support each other like they do.
No, and we don't even have to name names, but there aren't other businesses out there that have this kind of. I'm sure there are a couple. I don't mean to say that there are none, but there are none that I'm aware of or involved in that have this same level of sort of family and community built around it. It's a little bit baffling to me at times. We have a guy come by and drop off a bunch of cookies that he made because there's going to be an event over the
Yes.
weekend, right? My man. And we actually did our first Tough Together down in St. Augustine. And, and I'm like, oh, you don't have to do this, man. This is really nice. He's like, no, you guys, you're just doing so much for me. You're doing so much for people. And I'm like, we're a business.
Oh, yeah.
People pay to do these events. They buy the rucks on the website. And yet, for someone to have the perspective that, you're doing something for me, it's a bit of an odd thing to work in a business where you're, selling products and services. And some of your customers is we don't even use that word around here.
No. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard the word customer since I've been here.
We just don't use it, and it's not like there's a rule against it. It just doesn't even feel like the right word to use. It's a very unique. I worked in a nonprofit for 5 years before this, and it made sense to me kind of then to where you're working every day and you're trying to benefit people and you're offering services that are sort of free to the community, and they say, hey, thanks, I appreciate what you're giving me. That sort of makes sense, but it's a weird thing to work in a business, in a for-profit business that sells things, and for people to say thanks for what you're doing for the community or for what you're doing for me or for my friends. Like, it's still a little odd to hear it. I appreciate it tremendously, and I take it as a big responsibility.
I know we keep saying community, but it's like an extended family. It's a GORUCK family, the GRTs are. And I love that they'll argue, they'll challenge each other, talk shit to each other, but they're there if you need them.
Yeah, and so one, we would be remiss on this week's show if we don't bring up, that has really been, that's been coming through in spades this week.
Yes.
Because many of you who are listening or watching will know, I guess some of you may not, but late last Friday night, kind of early Saturday morning at the Joe Warner Memorial Bragg Heavy, we had a tragedy where we lost one of our fellow GRTs very suddenly.
Yes.
In the middle of the event, and it was extremely difficult for everyone who was there, right from the fellow participants to the cadre to we had several participants who were medically trained professionals that
Yes.
worked on him, on Jerome Gonzalez, that worked on him and made every attempt to save his life, and then the first responders, and it was just a sudden and crushing tragedy to everybody that was involved and everybody in the GORUCK community and part of our family here, and certainly to his family. And he's got still 2 young children,
Yes.
A boy and a girl, and it's just devastating. And you don't know what to do with that, but the community, I guess we should have expected it, but it's just been amazing to see everything from, hey, call me if you need to talk, to how do we raise some money for the family, to
Yes.
how do I find, I got to figure out a way to show up for the memorial, which is going to be tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
From 4 to 8 p.m. I'm flying up there tomorrow morning to be at the memorial and spend some time with Jerome's family. And if you're going to be there at the memorial tomorrow between 4 and 8 p.m. or anytime tomorrow, I will be there, and I look forward to meeting everybody from the GORUCK community and spending some time with his family. But it's just been lost for words in a lot of ways, but to see the community show up, it's really, and that part has been heartening as hard as it's been.
I've had like text messages, phone calls, people reaching out via email, Facebook Messenger, and just like want to know what they can do, how they can support, and then like, hey, and asking how we're doing, because they know that when, it's, to us, it's losing a family member. And it's as rough on us as it is anybody else. And even the cadre, like I'm on a communication with them, and they're all checking on each other and checking on the family, and to see that kind of concern, it speaks a lot about the GRTs.
Yeah. I spoke to a couple of cadre yesterday. I'll remain nameless for the moment, but who I know they are communicating within sort of amongst themselves. And one of the things I heard yesterday that really struck home to me was, I've been downrange and I've lost friends downrange, and that's incredibly difficult. But at some level, it makes sense because you're at war.
Yes.
And you know that when you land in Afghanistan and go out to your fire base, that the Taliban is out there and that they would like to kill you.
For sure.
And so losing a teammate is incredibly difficult. This is actually the anniversary of my team losing some teammates this week is. So it's been sort of an interesting week for me as well. But those make a little more sense in the final analysis because you sort of know that you signed up for that. But to lose somebody at a GORUCK event or any other event or a marathon or a triathlon
Yes.
so suddenly, it's just that much more crushing because it doesn't compute. It doesn't really add up.
For sure.
And so you've got these Special Forces cadre who are there, and many of whom have been a part of losing a teammate or dealing with trauma, injury, that kind of thing downrange. And they act, the switch goes off, they're cool, they're calm, they act. But in the aftermath of it, it's much harder to reconcile, I think.
Yes.
And so, I've been in a lot of contact with our cadre and with BD and everyone this week, just because that's a tough thing
Yes.
to make sense of, and it's hard for everybody right now. And I just hope that people know that we're here if we can help. The community is here if you need some help or need someone to talk to, and we'll continue to do everything we can to be close to the family and help them in every way possible. But it's going to take some time, and it's not something that will ever fully be over. But I think seeing the strength of the community and the way they've responded it's made me feel a lot better about it. It's definitely
Yes.
been a heartening thing.
I dealt with a lot when we lost Mama Stump, and just seeing how the community reacted and how they did and how they supported everyone, it speaks volumes of people. We have some really great people.
Yeah, and I think that's worth pointing out just in general, is that it's very easy with social media and the 24-hour news cycle, and you see terrible tragedies like school shootings and things like that have been in the news more recently. It's pretty easy to kind of say people suck.
Yes.
Like my dad, God bless him, who may be watching this, maybe not, has been quoted as saying, "I like a good dog more than most people."
Yes.
Which I get it. But the implication is that, people just sort of in general kind of suck. And I would challenge that assumption. And I would say, and I've been fortunate or unfortunate, I guess depending on how you look at it, I've had the privilege of seeing fellow humans in times of real tragedy
Yes.
show their best. And I think we all have the capability of being our best when things are at their worst. It's not 100% the case, but I think that more times than not, people will surprise you in a positive way when the chips are really down. I sort of jokingly say that about my son sometimes. Like, he's sort of pain, in the neck on day-to-day sort of stuff, but like when it's time to show up, when it's really game time, like when it's the field trip to Disney World with all your classmates or whatever, like, or it's time to take the long, black, red eye flight across the country. Like, he sort of straightens up and like shows up.
Yes.
When you need him most, and I love that about him, and I'm willing to put up with sort of his quirkiness in other situations. So I know, like, chips down, he's a gamer. He's gonna show up, and I think a lot of people are that way, and I think that we would be foolish to believe otherwise. So it's been cool to see.
It has. And again, that just drives it home that the people are the best part of GORUCK. Yeah. Monster's the best part of HQ.
Clearly.
I have to put that in there.
Clearly,
but the people part of it is just, it makes me.
Would you do this if there wasn't, though? Like, honestly, if we sold rucksacks, would you even do this?
No.
No way.
No way.
No way. I don't even like things. I mean, I love our rucks, and I love our clothes,
Yes.
and our apparel. I really do love this stuff, and I believe in it. I believe it's better than whatever else is out there. But I wouldn't work here if it wasn't for the people. I would buy the rucks, and I would like maybe put it on Facebook and be like, "Hey, I just found the most rad
Oh yeah,
rug.
this
You
is
should
cool.
buy this
Yes.
too." And I would come up here every now and then and do an event and sleep on Jason's couch, and we would be friends and all of that. But I wouldn't work here if it wasn't for the opportunity to make a difference with the people. No way.
It is, and I like Nick and I have talked about this with the stuff that we do. Like when we do something locally, we don't want it to be where it's like, oh, look what we're doing. We want it to be where it's.
We do a terrible job.
We do. I know. We do. but just shit like more of doing it an example. Like we're actually doing what we're asking you to do. When we ask you to do a service during your event. Yeah. And that's some of the cool things. When we went up to the Cleveland area Rucking Clue, it was horrible. It was like 5 miles to get to this cemetery that's on the lake, and we cleaned all the headstones. And one of the guys that was there, he's like, I've lived here all my life, and I've got family that are buried here from way back in the day. And he goes, I've never been to this cemetery. And he goes, this is really kind of cool. And he got emotional talking to me about it, like got wet-eyed, and he's like, this is awesome that we have,
sweat going on?
yeah. But he goes, we've come here and actually, we took bleach, we scrubbed them down and everything, and some of them come up with just awesome ideas of what they do. A couple of the Ruck Clubs have hit me up of like, they carry trash bags when they go on their rucks and pick up trash. And I think to myself, I'm like, well, how shitty was I back in Shreveport when we were all rucking together and we didn't have a trash bag because there was a lot of trash we could have picked up. There's just little
Yesterday
things.
we volunteered at the place in Fernandina Beach, and we were moving around all the canned goods in their storage room and rebuilding some shelves and stuff. And I was like, man, this is so great. Why do I not do this every week?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a bad person. I should be. Why am I doing this all the time?
Exactly.
Jeez. All right. So, on that note, we're gonna Lee. Is there anything from the community? Anything
There's a
worth
little
sharing?
bit.
All right, we're gonna bring Lee in. It's his dream shot. We're gonna get Lee from behind the camera to in front of the camera this week. Lindsay's leaving right now. Not
But hey,
in front of the
Lindsay.
camera. Sorry, guys. Next time.
Lindsay, last chance. You sure? All right. We'll do it
Not even a second.
without
thought.
you.
All right, Lee. Welcome in. This is Lee.
Hey.
And what do we got?
Nothing too crazy. Shout out Flash and Cadre J-Dub. They're both watching right now.
Yay.
What's up, fellas?
Also, Flash wants to know if you happen to have a layover in Atlanta on your trip, because he would like to meet you.
In
Well,
hot
I
Atlanta.
do have a layover in Atlanta tomorrow. Man, I don't have it in front of me. I think my flight leaves Jax at like 8:15, so that would put me in Atlanta 9:15ish. I think so. I think my layover tomorrow morning is like 9:15 to 10:15, give or take, in Atlanta. So if you are in the Atlanta airport tomorrow morning in that time window, I will be happy to link up.
Booyah.
Buy you a beer.
Speaking of beer, Jonathan wants to know why you're not drinking PBR.
We don't have any right now.
Don't have any. I usually sneak some in.
The best kind of beer is free beer, and so
I
that's
know.
I believe Jonathan's next question would be, why don't you have any PBR?
I apologize.
Literally
Are you allowed
everybody.
to buy PBR on the GORUCK dime? I
Let me-
know that you can go and you can buy Bud Heavy.
Oh, I will tell this since Jason isn't here. During selection, I bought quite a bit of it and snuck it in there. And Jason's dad actually when I was walking around and had Budweiser and PBR, he chose PBR.
Oh, that's a bomb!
Sure did.
Jason's dad likes the fancy beers.
He,
PBR, I mean, obviously.
It did-
PBR.
PBR won a blue ribbon, man.
it won a blue ribbon.
Blue ribbon,
Yeah.
So back up. So you're blowing my mind here. So Jason always tells me that he drinks Bud Heavy. His dad drank Bud Heavy.
And I know his dad's
You
a
know,
Bud Heavy
that's it.
fan.
Like,
Yeah.
Line in the sand and nothing else. Are you telling me that Jason's dad likes other kinds of beer?
So I've had this same thing happen to me a couple years back, and the way he explains it is he's like, as you get a little bit older, you want to, like, he brews his own beer, so he likes the hops and stuff.
Yeah.
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 All right, Jason and I are gonna have to have a conversation about this when he gets
Yeah,
back.
he's a fancy beer man.
So
Yeah.
within the next couple weeks, we'll do the beer episode where we'll do it live at Fly's Tie
Yeah.
here in Jax Beach, or in Atlantic Beach technically.
I feel like we've been saying next couple weeks.
We've been waiting for the weather to warm up, and
Oh, okay.
It's been cold.
It's really been
Shoot, we
nice
should have
lately,
done it
man.
today.
It was
awesome.
like
Yeah.
62 the other
I
day.
thought about maybe doing it today, but then the community thing was important to talk about, and I think Jason might be upset if I did the beer episode without him, even though he's just gonna drink Budweiser the whole time.
Exactly.
Or maybe
Yeah.
not. Or maybe not. We'll give Jason the opportunity to, like, I know that he likes a Hefeweizen every now and then. Spend some
Yeah.
time in Germany. Like, well,
When we've gone to local breweries, he'll have some craft beer.
yeah. Okay.
Doesn't he usually ask which one's the most like Budweiser?
Yeah, that's exactly what he
Can I get
asked.
like an American style lager, please? There's actually a craft brewery in Cape Coral, Florida, where I'm from, where I grew up. There's one craft brewery there now, and it's actually pretty good. Now, I went there for dinner one night with some friends when Jenny and I were in town visiting my parents, and they have one of their craft brews is called "What's the Lightest Thing You Got?" And it's literally the beer they brewed for people that have been drugged there by their wife or their friends
Yes.
or whatever, and they don't really want to have a craft beer, and the obvious question they're going to ask is, what's the lightest thing you got? And so they just went ahead and made like a light Pilsner.
The
that
lightest
is
thing
the
you
lightest
got.
It's pretty brilliant.
Eric wants to know what's the deal with us being involved with Baton this year.
Oh, actually, that's a real good question. So we are correct me if I'm wrong, we are a gold level sponsor.
Correct.
Of the Baton Memorial Death March this year out in White Sands, New Mexico, and that's taking place March 25th, I think, is the date, and we'll be out there for 3 or 4 days. We'll be out there. We'll have a booth set up at the packet pickup and registration
Yes.
in the gym there on White Sands. I will be there. Bomber will be there as well. And we'll have some patches and koozies, and you can check out some gear and stuff if you want. Just come say hi, take a picture, hang out. We're also going to be camping at the sort of recreational campsite right there outside the start line. And so we'll be in the campsite every night, so you can come by and hang out and spend some time. But the bottom line is that's sort of a premier rucking event that happens, and it also pays homage to a pretty cool piece of history. And there's still some baton survivors that come every year.
Yes.
And speak and participate. I mean, it's a bit, I did it 3 years ago. By the way, rucking 26.2 miles through that particular terrain is not a joke.
Yeah.
And I just signed up yesterday, so I'm doing it again this year. So I'm not just going, I'm gonna actually participate in the ruck. Nick from behind the camera will be there doing some videos of participants and some stuff. So we're excited, y'all. If you haven't signed up, there's still time. There's still some slots. You should definitely show up. And if you have signed up, definitely come and hang out, because like we need something to do. If you haven't been to White Sands Missile Range, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And we'll do a little trail running and some rucking, and otherwise,
Special guest.
Oh, special
Very
guest.
special
Very
guest.
special guest here. Oh, look who it is, Miss Penelope. You want to be on the show?
Hey, Penny.
All right, Lee. What else you got, man?
Let's see. People want to actually 2 things with you. Actually,
Yeah.
3 things with you. People want to see the picture of you with your hair that long.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's wondering why you're still wearing your shirt.
That's a fair
It's
question.
still cold in Florida. We got the AC on
Well,
in here.
so the real answer is, I think, I came here straight from the gym, and I was sweating my balls off, and I had no shirt on
Yeah.
when I showed up earlier. And then we were talking before the show about how maybe Bomber should just do the show with his shirt off. And then I was like, yeah, I think you should. And he said, nah, I don't want to. You're fit. I don't want to be here with my shirt off.
Look, when I first
I don't
moved
think it
here,
matters. It's very endearing.
when I first moved here, it got pretty cool during the winter, and Nick's like, hey, let's go surfing. So I needed a wetsuit. And so I went to Aqua East, I bought a wetsuit. And what I determined is that craft beer will lie to you, but a wetsuit will not. When I put that wetsuit on and I looked in the mirror,
You feel like you're a seal?
it was
you're like,
it was
I am a seal
horrible, horrible.
Not Navy SEAL?
No,
They all
oddly
have
not on
abs,
the beach.
yeah.
We went surfing that one time, and then he never once hit me up again during the cold.
Do you know what?
Again.
It was like, it took me about an hour to get out of that thing. It was
How long did it take you to
horrible.
get in there?
You gotta use
Stop.
Body Glide.
Yeah,
Put it on
exactly.
underneath.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And I did all my shirtless videos before I worked at GORUCK. I've done some up here, whatever. Cropping, man.
It's got,
Cropping.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
nipples and above.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where all the good tats are anyway. I get it. Okay. Fair enough. Maybe next time.
I remember when Christmas Abbott was in town, and you're like, so he's got a wiener dog tattoo, right? And he's like, rips his shirt off, goes, I'm gonna go show Christmas Abbott my wiener. And your wife, her eyes like tripled in size, and she's like, wait, he's doing what? No.
Oh,
So-
man.
She was so very
And,
nice.
yeah, and how did she
very,
think
very
it?
nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, she was
So-
awesome.
Christmas is a friend of ours, friend of GORUCK.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. Jenny and Christmas are friends, so I think Jenny was probably afraid that they weren't gonna be able to be friends anymore after.
She was super cool. Super cool.
She handled it very cool. We'll get her Christmas. You're probably not watching, but if you are, we'll get you on the show here pretty soon.
That would be awesome.
I think the community would appreciate hearing from her because she's a pretty badass chick who I think shares our values.
Yes.
So way to try to screw it up, but
I loved it.
Hey,
I just, when you started moving, I was like, I don't know what's about to happen, but I'm gonna watch.
Actually, I told her, don't be nervous. I said, this is an honor for me to come and have a shirtless picture
that
with
was
you.
the best part is you really did play it cool. You were like, hey, I know this maybe makes you nervous, but don't be nervous. We're just gonna take a quick selfie here with my shirt off and my wiener dog. Is that it?
I think the last big one that I saw pop up that's kind of a good question is people want to know if you're going to be running any cadre events. Like if you're going to be the cadre, take them through it.
Yeah, folks have asked that.
Yeah. So
That's how it made it on the
Brian,
list.
Yeah, Brian, was it from Brian Lore?
No.
So Brian Lohr from All Day Ruck Off just he caught it today. So yeah, so I'm gonna work with JC Jordan. April 5th and 6th, the Tough Light in Atlanta. It's our baton event. So this is the first year we're doing sort of a baton memorial event series across several locations throughout the country. And one of them's gonna be in Atlanta. And you folks in Atlanta, great job. You've signed up in big numbers. And so that event needs a second cadre. And so April 5th and 6th, I'll be in Atlanta doing cadre duties with JC.
JC's awesome.
Recently
Yeah, he's super
retired
solid.
Marine Special Operator. We did the light. I shadowed a bit of the tough with them here in Jack's Beach on Veterans Day, and then I did the light with my son, and he was the cadre, him and Nick. And so yeah. So if you guys want some, April 5th and 6th, there's the tough and the light baton in Atlanta. I'll be there. Now you know.
That's all I got. I didn't realize I was giving you a layup for that though. I didn't realize it was already happening. So
I'm always one step ahead.
look at that.
All right, guys. See you next time. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Penny. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, man. Too bad we missed that. Oh, man. You are precious, Penny. Good job, man.
You too.
Hey, thanks for doing it. That was fun.